So I've had the opportunity to, over the course of, I guess, about 7 or so years, sit with the sacred medicine of ayahuasca probably about 20 times, 20 separate sit experiences. My experience with it, and I think a lot of times it tends to work this way, is that as a journeyer, I would commit to a weekend. I would love to go to Peru, but I haven't had the experience of going and sitting with shaman in Peru, where it is the sacred medicine of the people. But the way that it has been presented to me is oftentimes in a smaller group setting with, say, between even 3 to 10 people, I guess maybe even up to 20, depending on the person that you're sitting with. Primarily, my experience has been sitting with one particular person who I feel a kinship with, a connection with, and she is the person who pours the medicine. She herself has many, many years of experience, and then on a practical level, comes from a career as a nurse who is now retired. And I'll say that pretty much every time I commit, there's a lot of preparation that needs to be done. So often it requires changing my diet, refining my diet. The suggestion, probably for everybody who sits, although some people are probably more strict about it, is to, clean up the diet, to refine the foods so that you're eating a much more simply, as well as there are certain particular foods to avoid. Most medications are paused, although I think that has to be, I'm not the expert on that. It's discouraged from eating even things like certainly sugar or salt, actually. And I will say also that just with the change of diet, it becomes sort of this, when I commit to sitting, say, a month or 6 months from now, it's in my awareness that I'm going to be ingesting the medicine. And it has been told to me that the medicine starts to prepare us, people who are going to be journeying with it. And so sometimes pretty fascinating insights can come even before the physical ingestion. Oftentimes myself, the week or so before, it's like everything gets more intensified, like diet is really, really refined. And a lot of times too, there's like media holidays, like don't ingest the news, try to make sure that your relationships are in a good place, that things can be resolved so that that we don't have to take those things into the ceremony with us, that we can be as kind of pure and clean slate as possible. So I would say that there's a lot of preparation and, if you will, spiritual work to do beforehand. And truth be told, a lot of times before I sit with the medicine, there is a nervousness because you never know what you're going to get. And I've certainly had experiences of feeling in complete hellishness. A lot of times, even as I ingest it, there is a caution, like a nervousness, like not knowing what you're going to get. As a person, as I ingest the medicine, there is sort of like, I feel like the vibration of everything kind of starts getting lower and lower and lower. And it's like the body has to go through this process of acclimating to the medicine and maybe to the vibration. And it feels like it's a really and pretty intense downward shrinking almost intensity. It's sort of like I imagine those barometric, like the barometric pressure really changes and refines and gets dense. And sometimes just going, if you will, going into the medicine can be pretty intense and sometimes hard. Sometimes the journey itself can be very, very difficult. Sometimes things are presented like, do you want to go down this path or do you want to go down this path? And sometimes it's like, I really don't want to go down that path. Or I know in the journey that I have to get through something. And so I'll just be very clear about like keeping myself refined to get to that place where I need to be without getting sidetracked or getting pulled in or sucked in. Now, sometimes that advice has actually been to like go towards the darkness or go towards the thing that's sort of scary to you, and that can be a really insightful and poignant and illuminating experience. It feels like a lot of times experiences that are in my life at the time can come through. So, for example, I was able to meet and spend a little bit of time with a woman who had dementia. And I learned as I was taking the medicine that she was in hospice. And she showed up in the experience. And I felt like I was with her and that she was stuck in this fun house with like warped mirrors and googly-eyed people, like almost like in a strange Alice in Wonderland alternate reality where things were all kooky and didn't make sense. And I felt like she was trapped there, and that a part of the exchange by witnessing this was that I could actually be strangely helpful in pulling her out of that. And curiously, I was a little bit afraid of getting stuck in there myself for eons, what seemed like eons. And as we were making our way through this fun house, and the googly eyes were mesmerizing and the distractions were there and nothing made sense, the warped mirrors were there, this really extraordinarily beautiful song was played. And I felt like the song offered this rising up and this escape route from that kooky, wild, nonsensical hell. And I felt like I was able to work with this woman and pull her up and out and through that to harmonize with this angelic voice so that she could rise. And the name of the song, it was very, very just synchronistic and profound. The name of the song is called In Dreams by an artist called Jai Gadesh, Jaijadesh, I believe is her name. And the song, the lyrics are all about dreaming a new dream. And I was reading on YouTube about how it's played a lot of times for people in hospice to help them pass over. So fascinating that this particular song was there and that I was able to hold this person's hand through this experience and pull her out of it. And in waking reality, in the real world, I knew after that experience with her that I needed to go visit her in her hospice care. And I brought her a rose quartz crystal, and I just sat with her for a few, 10 or 15 minutes, and I put the crystal in the window to imbue through the room, and I played her that song, and she pretty much slept the whole time, kind of snoring away. But I felt like it was my opportunity to offer my respect and also to help her in some way to cross over, to find some peace. And I think that it took about a week. So I sat with ayahuasca that weekend before, and then it was Friday when I got to go spend that 10 or 15 minutes with the woman. And I heard that she actually passed. She formally passed on Sunday of that weekend. So I felt like there was some potent work that was being done. And I definitely had the sense that she had been able to pass peacefully and was in a much better place. And that's one of my experiences with ayahuasca.